Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got a balanced rack. I can't see a bingo here, so I'm looking to play off the duplicate T, the U, and probably the O and P as well for score. So I could play Pout. I could also play Putto, keeping just A, E. Let me see what Putto scores. So Putto for 20, Pout for 12. Does the T add 8 points to this rack? I don't think so. Through an R, I would have Decorate. I can't see a 7 here, but it's a pretty bingo-y set of tiles. I'm looking at the P and T in particular to see if I can see an 8. Nothing has come to mind so far. Now I'm looking at the O and the U. I've got the auto prefix. That doesn't help. So I can't see a bingo with this rack. But this should be a fairly straightforward rack to resolve. The C is quite a bingo-y tile, so I don't need to play it. Now, just one more floater to consider in the Z. And I can't see anything. So, how to sort the rack out? I could play Co's, keeping date. And that has quite a lot of merit, because I've got the D for coming down column 8 next turn, if I don't have a bingo. And I'm not really opening anything up on row K to the left, because C only takes an H underneath it. And row K to the right, any play there is going to provide floaters for me. And this maintains a pretty good rack leave and opens up bingo lanes. Only 15 points, however. So, can I do better than that? I've got coapted in column 4, but that isn't a bingo and it doesn't get doubled. If I played the D here, that would just be 2 more points. Well, that's better off on my rack. I don't think there are a huge amount of scoring opportunities on this board. Possibly a play in column 7 running parallel to Tiz. But then I don't think I'll have as good a rackly, so I'm going with this. Not great. I've got the Q. I'm looking to see if I can use it with the U of Putto. So Q-U-O-O. Well, I don't have a playable play there. If I had the K, I could play Quook. I can't see a 6-letter play down from the end of Co's, starting with D. But I have Cat on my rack. So I could play that in column 7 just onto the T for 13 points. Not great, and the rack leaves pretty ropey as well, with the Y and the O. So, not a good pickup at all. If my opponent plays an I, I've got Cade and Caddy as possibilities. Onto NA, I would have Yakona. Now, if I don't play the Q, I would certainly be looking to play off the Y and the O. I think Cozy may be good with a Y, but no 6s beginning with Y. So I'm really looking for my opponent to provide something. But what if he doesn't? Although cat does get rid of the Q, it's just not a great rack leave. Deoty. Okay, well, my opponent has closed the board down, and I think that makes it easier for me to play cat. And I don't think there's anywhere else for my Q to play. And this is opening up very little for my opponent, which means that my opponent will be restricted in terms of what he can score. And I'm retaining a scoring tile in the Y. So this isn't all bad. And I draw the first blank, which is good. This looks quite promising. Now I've got the Q available as a floater, in which case the blank would probably be a U. Can't see a bingo there. I've got the P of putto. Well, I can't see a bingo ending in that. No H for going underneath C. But I could play comedy in column 4, keeping T blank. That would score well and open the board up. And with a blank, I'd like an open board. I don't want to have bingos on my rack that I can't play. Now, row G is a bingo lane for bingos beginning with A and a tile which front hooks OHS. In particular, D. Can't see anything. I think while my opponent is thinking, I will run through the alphabet in case anything springs to mind, either as a 7 or an 8 through the right floater. That's comedy plus a T. Not seen anything yet. Methody, I don't think, is good. That's the LY ending. Still nothing. Modesty. Okay, so I have modesty on my rack. Well, that certainly didn't spring to mind. Now, I know it also row I is a bingo lane for bingos beginning with H. Okay, so what about a play beginning with H? Can't see anything. Now, my opponent's played con. That takes an I in front, but only an I. So modesty doesn't play. However, it's good that he's opened up a bingo lane. Comedy 36, a good score. And that looks pretty good. Certainly have some 7s here, but not sure if they play. I don't think putto takes an S at the end, otherwise I would have falters in column 9. Now, do I have a play in column 2 with the blank as an I? Don't think I do. I would have airlifts through an I. Now, if my opponent plays down column 3, he could kill all of these floaters. I can't see anything beginning with an H or with a Q. So what do I have while these floaters are available? I can't see anything through the M. Well, my blank is likely to be a vowel, but not necessarily with the E. So surely there is something with through that E. I'm going to run through the alphabet imagining an E on my rack. Yeah, my opponent has killed all of those. So, do I have anything beginning with Y? Can't see anything. Now, what about these 2-letter sets? There could well be something here. Can't see anything. Now, lobe, well, it takes an S after it. Well, there could be a bingo here. It's a case of how long to look for it. Or I could try and sort the rack out. My opponent's lead is only 17 points, which is very little. So I could play floor across here, keeping last. 16 points. I'm just looking at this H and imagining the blank as an A, or an E, or an I. O, U, Y. I can't see anything. Nothing with the Q. Can't see anything with the blank as an I. I'm just anxious or desirous of not missing a bingo. I could play far and fed. 24 points, but then that's keeping 4 vowels, and the A is quite valuable. 14 minutes on my clock. The F is a bit of a bingo killer. So that explains my reluctance to spend too long looking at these two letter sets. There could be a bingo here, but I could spend a lot of time looking for one in vain. So do I play floor? I can't see anything LOF. I think floor has merit. It leaves a decent rack leave, although the L is not ideal. But the vowel consonant balance is good. Great. I have 10 ales in column 2. And surely other things. What about row O? Can't see anything. I think quintals is good, although I'm not sure of it. An H bingo isn't great because it doesn't get doubled and it opens up column 15. I have East Lynn in column 2, which is better than 10 ales because it gets doubled. And it doesn't place a vowel next to a premium square. But what if East Lynn is blocked? I would have the ing ending with the blank as a G. I'm going to run through the alphabet looking for bingos beginning SYN or just with a Y. Haven't seen anything yet. Still nothing. Okay, so I can't see anything in row O. What about through BE or ED? And preferably ED because it would get doubled. Well, tricky to see. And I haven't seen anything. I think quintals is good. So I'm inclined to try that if my column 2 bingos are blocked. Ah, well, great. I now have access to row O, which is a better row than column 2. And this is fairly easy because I need to consider if I have a bingo beginning with H. And I don't. So it's a matter of hooking E and playing something along here, which provides the least useful floaters at the end and doesn't place a vowel next to this triple letter square. And I need to do this without wasting too much time. The S is clearly useful, so I could start the word with an S. I could play staling. I think it's time spent finding something better than staling is not time well spent. Staling does not take an S. Not a good pickup. I have a 40-point lead, which is fairly slender. Now I note that my D can go after lobe, but I don't have an E for going under the R. I have no I for going in front of icon. I have Pondoc in column 3, which leaves BV, but the entire rack is awful. It's hard to think of a playable word which is likely to leave a decent rack leave, so I don't need to worry about that, and Pondoc turns over tiles, increasing my chances of drawing a blank, and the floaters it provides aren't massively useful. Onto an E, I would have Poov, and Pooved through an E, and that would be a better rack leave than Pondoc. It would be quite nice to split up the V and the B. Well, maybe there are other ways of doing that. I don't think the floaters I've provided are particularly useful. I've got Bong in column 13, but that doesn't score very much. 10 minutes on my opponent's clock, 13 on mine. I'm looking in column 11, and I'm looking for plays using the B or the V, which end in I. Can't see anything. K takes nothing in front of it, so row F not available for plays parallel to con. Now my B could go on top of ES, so I could play Bond, keeping Pov. 19 points. 26 for Pondoc. Only one O to come, so not essential to dump both of my O's. And in fact, keeping one is a guarantee against having an all-consonant rack. Now, is Bond the best I can do? Well, I could do Bop in the same spots. Neither feels great, but this rack is so poor that there's unlikely to be any plays which jump out as being obviously great. However bad this rack looks, I think it's a playable rack rather than a changing rack. So 8 minutes on my opponent's clock. And there's still one blank out there and 2 S's. But the S is not hugely useful. There are no 7-letter S lanes. Apart from, well, ones which don't use the S to hook. Now, my opponent scored only 15 points, which is great. So do I do Pondoc, keeping BV, or Bond, keeping Pov? And Bond opens up a 5-letter lane here. Pondoc just places the O next to this triple letter square, not particularly dangerous. How useful are these floaters going to be for my opponent? Well, I think it's more the Rackley which I have an issue with. So I think I'll go with Bond. And in terms of the danger of Royale, well, I've got a P for going on that double letter square, so that would be helpful. However, Bond does take an S at the end. It's only 19 points. So I'm going to go back to Pondoc. From a D, I would have dibutyl, the D of Pondock in slightly the wrong spot. I've now got the UV combination, which isn't great. Now this rack feels better than the previous one. I note that my Y can go after the N, so I may have a 4-letter play down here. I don't have to play off all my horrible tiles in one go. I could play by in column 2. YO takes nothing in front. For 29 points, that's quite nice, keeping Wilt. Quite a few eyes to come, so some danger, if I retain the eye, of having multiple ones next go. Butyl is good, but almost any play in row M is going to open up the possibility of a 7-letter bingo lane and bingo ending in S, which I'm reluctant to provide while I'm ahead when I don't have an S or a blank on my rack. Now, Bi can also play here. That's less dangerous because an S bingo wouldn't get doubled. I haven't seen anywhere great for my V. I'm wondering if I can get my Y tripled. And I don't think I can. Except I do have the I, so I could have a play beginning YI. And I can't see such a play. What about a BI play? Okay, nice bingo by my opponent. 70 points. One of the S's goes, but still an S and the final blank to come. Now I could play Busty in row H. Let me see what that scores. That's 33, and the rack leave is good. And I'm interfering with 7-letter lanes in columns 12 and 14, and the floating Y and B, not particularly useful. And I'm getting rid of 3 unbingo-y tiles in the B, U, and Y, so I think this is fine. Pretty grim. I'm going to struggle to score with this rack. And my lead is only 18 points. Hullville is good, which would sort the rack out, but score very little and be quite dangerous, so that's not the play. $36 for my opponent. Now, I'm behind by 18 points. Is this the right moment to change? There still are bingo lanes on this board. This is a pretty awful rack. I can't see anywhere to leave a decent rack leave regardless of score. Now I know column 9 is available for an S bingo because AHS is available. I'm going to change. What's worth keeping? Not the G, or the I's, or the L's. I'm going to change the lot. Not great. However, I have a vowel, and I have the X. So I could play tax in column 14 for 50 odd points. Dreadful rack leave, but a great score. Where else can my X play? I'm 18 points behind, so I'm likely to be 50 or 60 behind after my opponent plays. I'm looking around at the vowels on the board as a way of preserving my A. Well, I could play, I was going to say taxon, but I don't have a T, but I certainly have the letters for axon, but I don't think I can extend that in either direction. I could play rax in column 4. 24 points, that's not good. And I can't see any alternative to tax in column 14, which gets around 50 points. This looks quite juicy in column 11. We taking in A, O, and E in front of it. Yeah, so 44 for my opponent. So I can play tax for 53. And, well, that's a pretty good pickup, E and S. The S certainly important. And there are bingo lanes on this board. I'm 9 points behind. I need to jettison the F and the R next go. And hope I get a good pickup. Now I know that my F can go in front of OP, but I can't get my R on this side. So where can I play F and R? Still 5 E's to come. Well, I'm not seeing anywhere to play off just the F and the R, so I may need to play off more tiles. I could play 4 through this O, but that doesn't feel great. I'm blocking useful floaters. And I'm scoring a tiny amount. And right now, I have the possibility of winning this game without needing to bingo. So I may need to just keep on scoring. 22 for my opponent. He's blocked my 4 spot. So I certainly need to play off the... I could play Earth down here for 6. And that leaves a pretty good rack leave. It would be even better if I could get rid of the D. But I can't see a way of playing DRF anywhere. And this rack leave goes pretty well with an A, an E, or an I. And there are 14 of those out of 25 tiles. So I think I will go with this play. Great, I have landers in column 9. What else do I have? I can't see anything using the Y. Great, my opponent doesn't bingo. I can bingo. He's not used the blank, so there's a good chance he's got it. So I'm 60 points behind. I am going to go into the lead now. But I may not retain that lead for long. So, is landers really all I've got? Well, and relands, but they're effectively the same. Nothing ending in U. It's really if there's something ending on Y or going through the Y. And I can't see anything. Well, I guess there's the P as well. But I can't see anything through the P, and I can't see anything through the O. So I think it is landers. And I think this is slightly better than relands. The L being less useful for my opponent. And also relands placing an A next to this premium square. Okay. So I have a lead of 6 points. There are 3 tiles in the bag. There are 2 scoring tiles out there. And the blank. My opponent has got a bunch of floaters to choose from, he could have a bingo. And if he doesn't, well, this may be the last rack I see, and it's not a good rack. No scoring tiles. And the remaining tiles are quite balanced in terms of vowels and consonants, so my opponent's guaranteed to have vowels and consonants on his rack, and he's got a selection in landers, so he should be able to score 30 or 40 points fairly easily. And I am not going to be able to respond in kind. However, the game is not over yet. Annoyingly, if my opponent bingos in one of the lower rows, I can't make much use of the L. I've got Arlii, but that's only 15 points. However, it may enable me to go out in 2. So, oh wow, look at my opponent's time. He's got 30 seconds left. I've got 8 minutes, so no time pressure for me. He could be looking for a bingo. Just watching his clock tick down now. Okay, yeah, 37 points. I can see what he's got left. He's got a pretty good 6-letter set. He's blocked my Arlii spot. DI takes nothing in front of it. So I can play Arna down here. Let me see what that scores. That's 24 points. But I'm looking to go out in 2, and I can't do that with Arna. However, can my opponent go out in 1? He's got the Y and the LY and ILY ending. Okay, there's no obvious spot for my opponent to go out in 1. So, can I go out in 2 anywhere? So I could play Apian, keeping A, E, I. Can I go out anywhere with A, E, I? Don't think so. Quite tricky with 6 vowels to plan or to be able to go out in 2. So I'm looking for spots where I can play off 3 of my vowels. I could play Piani, keeping A, E. Well, I can't see anything with that. So I think I may just go with the higher scoring play. Or shall I? Is there anywhere for AIA? That would leave Ina. So I've got a 2 move out on my, using just my rack, which is Ina and Aya. Is there anywhere for those plays? I don't think so. It's quite a blocked board. X takes only an O after it. I can't see anything running through these 2-letter sets. So I'm going with Anna in this spot for 24. My opponent may have an out in 1. My opponent's just slipped into overtime, so he loses 10 points, and he has to play out before 1 minute expires, otherwise he forfeits the game on time, but I don't think that's going to happen. weaverly. Well, I'm going to challenge that. I'm not totally sure of it. It's fine. So the final score, 379 to me, 402 to my opponent, a winning margin of 23 points. So well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first. And, well, I played Putto. Possibly Potty better, but unlikely since the U is not a great tale to keep. My opponent's rack, he plays Tiz. Great new missed bingo here. And this is where I played Co's for 15. I could have got more points, but for a significantly worse rack leave, so I still like Co's. Horrible rack for my opponent. He plays O's. Caddy, I3. Oh, wow, that would have been the play, making Pack and Udo. I didn't spot that. Well done if you did. Yep, certainly the play. And I played Cat for 13, which was definitely inferior. My opponent's rack plays Con. Now, I didn't have a bingo here, and I did play Comedy, and I still like that. My opponent's rack, no bingo there. He plays Lobe. And now this was a rack where I was toying with spending more time looking for a bingo and decided not to. Fortunately, there wasn't one, and I played Floor at K2 for 18, and that looks fine. This is a much better rack leave than the two moves above it. However, Fled, N1, probably even better because ARST is a lot better than ALST. My opponent's rack plays Reduce, and that's great for me because I'm able to play in row O and actually get one fewer point than playing in column 2. However, it's better to play in row O because it stops your opponent going there. My opponent's rack, he's got quite a nice rack, no bingo. He plays Hose, opening up a bingo lane in column 9. This was my rack, and after a lot of thinking, I went with Pondoc in the end, which I think is fine. And my opponent has a bunch of bingos, including Steaming. J10 Vibey. Ah, quite nice for 29 points, keeping LUT. I play Busty for 4 more points, keeping VIL. Probably not much between those. Not a nice rack for my opponent, but this is a great way of sorting it out. And yeah, this is where I changed. And look at these rack leaves, pretty grim, and the scores barely above 20. So I still like changing. My opponent plays Raj. I have Tax for 53, which gives me a glimmer of hope. Horrible rack for my opponent. And he plays Vint. So keeping 2 Gs and 2 Is. Interesting. Now this is my rack. And I play Earth. And the reason was for that was to leave a decent rack leave of Wrens, which goes well with a vowel, any vowel picked up. However, I could have got M7. I could have played Fern across here for 22. Well, the whole point of playing Earth is the rack leave. And 3 consonants, not great. My opponent's rack plays Vugia, which was excellent. And now I have, well, what I saw was Landers and Relands. What I didn't see was Spandrel through the P for 13 more points. So I think that would have been the play. Well done if you spotted that. Now, this was my opponent's rack. Ah, and he didn't have the blank. The blank was one of the last 3 in the bag. He could have played Weevil onto this L, but I guess he was wanting to leave 1 in the bag, except he didn't. He played Weird for 37. I guess his thinking could well have been to simply stop me playing a bingo anywhere. Now, I have an awful rack. I play Arna, and there's nothing down here which suggests an out in 2. Finally, my opponent has Weaverly in column 15, so I probably should have blocked that. He has no other out. However, if I block it, he can score 17 more points with taxes, so I don't think blocking Weaverly is clearly best. So, an interesting game. I ran into a bit of traffic in the middle of that game and had a poor rack where I changed. My opponent was able to edge ahead, and the final pickups at the end favoured my opponent, so he was able to edge the game by 20 points. However, I think the most interesting position was the caddy one, and even on a board with very few plays on it, it's still possible to overlook a play like caddy when you need to consider multiple overlaps. So well done again if you spotted that. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.